Lai, 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 lai. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We welcome everybody. We're thrilled to have so many of you with us here in our sanctuary, and certainly those online as well. If there are any guests here, we would love to welcome guests. If you feel so bold, you're welcome to introduce yourselves. I know it's nerve-wracking. If you'd like to say hello, we'd love to say Shabbat Shalom if anybody's here for the first time. Thank you. Tell us your name. Mark. Wonderful. Wonderful. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. So tonight's service is different. What can I say? It's going to be different. It's going to be different for a few reasons. First of all, it's different because tonight, for us, is the last night of Passover. I say that because not all Jews observe tonight as the last night of Passover. So the challah is back. You can be excited. The challah is back on the bima after a week off. And all of you can go, as my family will, enjoy pizza after services. But also, we're thrilled to have Lori Zuckerman reading Torah virtually this evening. Lori had every intention of being here, but some last-minute things changed those plans. But in a post-COVID world, you can read Torah even if you're not here. So Lori did all of her preparation, and we'll still get to have Lori read Torah for us this evening. And we have a wonderful taste of what is to come this summer, as we will hear beautiful music as Tim Culver joins Cantor Cathy once again and highlights the end of our service with some pieces from Sondheim, which is the cherry on top of us unveiling tonight our plan for our new Mishkan, our new outdoor space. And so we're excited that those of you who are joining us here tonight will see for the first time what we've been planning over the last few months, and hopefully you'll look forward to this summer where we'll get to gather together to support this project. So quite a different Shabbat tonight. It's wonderful to have everybody. We'll begin by lighting our candles. The blessings are on page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik nir shel Shabbat.
We walk back through our week to remember last Friday night, for many of us, our Passover Seder, sitting around a table, for many of us also for the first time in years with those around us as we worked through this week of Passover together. And as we come to its conclusion, we count these days as blessings as we turn to page 20 in our prayer books and share the words of Lecha Dodi.
Shabbat v'zachor v'dibar echad hishmi סוף מעשה במשכב תחילה לך דודי לקראת קהלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי קיבה אורך קומי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה פני שבת נקבלה. Please rise and face the entrance to your home or to the sanctuary. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גמה ושמחה, ובסוחלה תוך אמונה, עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please join me with the Hatzi Kaddish on page 26. שמי רבה ועלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחייך בן ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם עמי המאיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודש הבריחו לעילם ינקור בחטא ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירה מעמה ואמרו אמן.
Page 28.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'id. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'id.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach sha'arim uvitvuna meshane itim umachalif et hazmanim umsader et hakochavim b'mishmaroteim barakia kirtzono. Blessed are you, God, ruler of the universe, who makes these moments of change, moments of blessing for us as day turns to night, as seasons turn, as Passover ends, and as we look toward our next holiday of Shavuot, Baruch Atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim, may we take note of all that is changing before us, and may we bless it. Please join with me at the top of page 33. That was a nice intro to it, though. Together. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Be seated, page 36, we join together.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלטתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 39, we share responsively. Please read the indented paragraphs at the appropriate time. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. May heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work one day. The nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקי הים, לפני משה ומרים, זלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. Please join us for Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, shalom hashkivenu hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom lehamidenu makenu lechayim uleshalom uleshalom hashkivenu hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ufrosalenu sukat shlomecha
hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu
hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ushmor tzidkenu u'mo'inu l'chaim ol shalom me'ata ve'ad olam ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha aleinu sukat shlomecha hashkivenu hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Baruch atah Adonai haporas sukat shalom aleinu ve'akol amo Yisrael le'Yerushalayim hashkivenu
I have the great privilege of working with teenagers, soon-to-be teenagers, as they prepare for their bar and bat mitzvah. And they enter my office expecting me to be the teacher and them to be the student, and more often than not, as I know many of you have experienced, Tim and I were talking about this beforehand a little bit, the young seem to teach us more than we ever even knew was out there. And this 12, almost 13-year-old said, you know, I think one of the things that we have the hardest time doing is just being in the present. Just being able to be focused on where we are and the moment at hand. On page 45, there's this passage that I think is intended to be a message to encapsulate the past, the present, and the future, and yet perhaps it's exactly why we're so challenged, not only as human beings, but especially as Jewish people. It reads, "We're a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time." Perhaps as we get older, it is harder and harder to only be in the present because we are carrying so much of the past with us and looking with big open eyes towards the future and lots of questions. But for now, let us take our advice, be in the present, embrace this moment of Shabbat. Page 46, we rise. We turn to our most personal prayers, our Amidah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei Beneihem, Lama'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezra Tzara, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah, Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayim emunato, Lishenei afar, Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, Umida melech, Melech memit, Umechayim, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukdoshim b'chol yom yehalalucha asala, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. Up here on the podium is a list of announcements we'll share later in our service, and among them are the celebration of one of our own students becoming a rabbi in the coming year, the great need to help those who are hungry in our city, to provide food for our food bank, the focus of anti-Semitism becoming the focus of our Shabbat next week, helping to make our religious school thrive by having the little ones and by buying some pizza to raise some money. All of these things in a mix of ways. We have to juggle both the challenges of anti-Semitism and hunger and the blessings of our students becoming experts and teachers, and our youngest students holding onto books, especially Jewish books, for the first time. Our prayers at the end of our Amidah, not the ones we most often do, but tonight, it's a different night, so we're doing things differently. They ask us to hold the challenges, the pains of the world, and the great blessings all in one prayer. Page 57 and 59. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael, God, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. May we respond to those in need of food as we do to anti-Semitism. Baruch atah Adonai she'otecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. But may we also give thanks, God of goodness, for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us that we know is so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, let us remember to offer our thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lehodot. Take a few moments for our own personal prayers as we conclude our Amidah with the prayers of our hearts. Turn to our Torah service, page 250 in our prayer books. As I mentioned earlier, we wish that Lori Zuckerman could be here in person, but I'm not sure if it counts as being half here or not. We haven't figured out the mathematical equation yet, but she did a lot of work to prepare her Torah, the Torah portion for this week. We're thrilled to be able, through technology, to share her reading of the Torah. This week we're reading Leviticus chapter 16, verses 31, beginning with verse 31. And we will take the Torah out, and you will magically hear Lori's voice reading our Torah portion. Those at home will be able to see her too, but we'll be able to hear her. So page 250, please rise for our Torah service.
Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, ki mitzion teitzei Torah, u'devar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, v'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shemo. Gadalu Adonai iti, uneron mama, Shemo Yagdav. Lecha Adonai Hagedula, Hagevura, Hatiferet, Lehanitzach, Lehahod. Ki kol bashamayim uvaretz, ki kol bashamayim uvaretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, v'hamit na'aseh
Please be seated. Before we turn to Lori and our Torah reading, there was no plan for me to give any personal words this evening. It's supposed to be the Canner's night, and Tim, and the new Mishkan, but I couldn't help myself, so bear with me. That's the liberty of having a microphone that's on. I can't help myself in part because it's, as many of you know, because we follow Jewish news perhaps closer than other news at times, there's been, over the last months, really, a series of rabbis who've hit the headlines in ways that we would never want to see. And this week, not only was it a terrible story, but it was in our backyard. And so a number of people have reached out of confusion and pain that a rabbi that they know seems to have committed crimes that are unthinkable. And yet, it's not as if this is the first time this has happened. It's not as if this is the first time this year this has happened. It's not. There was just months ago a colleague who was arrested and accused of rape. There's been 3 major reports in the Reform movement alone looking at harassments and abuses over the last decades. And it breaks our hearts and our trust, because we have a great tradition of what we call kavod harav, which we would extend beyond the Rav part, the rabbi, but the sense of you honor your teachers, and you put your teachers intentionally on a pedestal, and that pedestal should be free from sin and disappointment and judgment, but it is not. I mention this, and I couldn't help myself to mention it, not because, believe me, last thing I want to do is highlight the terrible things that have been already highlighted, but because the words that Lori will read in a few moments are one of the oldest reminders that, in fact, our people has never liked putting people on pedestals. She's reading in Leviticus a section about the priests and all that the priests must do, but in particular, we like to say these things aren't coincidences. The words are v'chiper hakohen. This is the atonement of the priest. It's said in the halakha and the Jewish law, as the later rabbis debated, why in the Torah does it say that there are priests and there are people? Is it because the priests are not people? That they are of a separate category? Are we to doubt that they are people at all? And therefore, in the Torah, it separates their title because, just like we would with animals or angels, they're not the same as people. But the Torah portion reads as follows: V'chiper hakohen, the priest who has been anointed and ordained to serve as a priest, must make expiation, must repent. It continues, same words, the word from Yom Kippur, V'chiper et mikdash hakodesh, and he shall make sure that the holy spaces, the place in which he works, the tent of meeting and the altar, he shall make expiation for all of the priests and all of the people. So I take issue with the rabbis who wrote our Jewish law and who questioned, are the priests people? They are absolutely people. As flawed as other people, as smart as other people, as complex as people, and we do a disservice if, when they commit sins, we simplify them to be monsters. So can we see them as people and know that our tradition has always looked back and said people don't exist above each other or below each other? The power of what is sacred is found, as it says here, in the Mikdash HaKodesh, the Ohel Moed, it says later, the Mizbeach, in the areas where we gather. Tonight, we'll get to celebrate that, as you'll see as we talk about this new sanctuary that we're building outside. But that has been the longest story, that we gather as a group in a minyan or greater. That's where holiness has existed for us. That is what we have always elevated. The individuals have had their moments, but even Moses doesn't get to be the highlight of the Seder. So, all of us, are terribly embarrassed and sorry, and our hearts break with what we hear our leaders do. They are people, as are their children, as is their community. May we find a way to see the better part of our people and to help leaders grow up to be the examples we expect of them, and when possible, which is not always, to forgive them for being as human as we all are. Amen. We'll turn now, as we turn to the words of Torah that Lori will read for us, reminding us that even thousands of years ago, the priests were expected to repent. It's in the words of Leviticus. Please join us, page 250, with the blessing over Torah. Symbolically, we'll open the Torah as we'll follow along with Lori's words. Please join me. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach, Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Shabbaton hilachem, v'initem et nafshotechem, chukat olam. V'chiper hakohen, asher yimshach oto, v'asher yemalei et yado, lechahen tachat aviv, v'lavash et bigdei habad, bigdei hakodesh, v'chiper et mikdash hakodesh, ve'et ohel moed, ve'et hamizbeach yechaper, ve'al hakohanim, ve'al kol am hakahal yechaper, v'haita zot lachem, lechukat olam, lechaper, al b'nei Yisrael mikol chatotam, achat bashana, vayas kasher, tiva Adonai et Moshe.
Join together in the blessing after the reading of the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah. With our Torah out, we take a moment now to offer our words of Mishaberach, our words for healing, and we invite you in the midst of our prayer to share the names of those loved ones whom you know are in need of that healing at this time. Page 253.
Mishaberach avoteinu, mekor habracha, Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
If you have a name you'd like to share, please share aloud.
Reed Wasserstrom, Kathy Meyerson. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And let us sing, Amen.
Please rise as we return our Torah to the Ark.
V'zot haTorah asher sa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael, al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yalelai lai lai, yalelai lai lai, yalelai lai 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 lai, yalelai lai lai, yalelai lai, yalelai. Etz Chaim hi למחזיקים בה בתומכיה מאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום השיבנו إليך ונשוע חדש חדש ימינו חדש ימינו כקדם.
Aleinu, page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה לייצר בראשית, שלא עשינו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו כחמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Please be seated. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, to hope, to dream. A thing for fools, this, and a holy thing. For your life has lived in me. Your laugh lifted me. Your word was a gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. For it is a human thing to love, a holy thing to love, what death has touched. Our hearts tear with those who have recently lost a loved one, especially in this past month. The families of Barry Greenberg, Stanley Brandt, and Rebecca Akers. And we also remember those that we lost at this time in years past: Barry Edelman, Bruce Applebaum, Ruth Bloom, Ruth Heilbrunn Brower, Albert Buxbaum, Anna Foreman, Abe Fromson, Laura Lee Garfinkel, Solomon M. Goldsmith, Abraham Henkin, Alvin Isroff, Meyer Jacobs, Ruth Jaffe, Nathan Katz, Helen Weiss Klausner, Daniel Klein, Dr. Robert Kruger, Marilyn Latimer, Paul Lewis, Matthew Margolis, Morris Markey, Richard Moss, Ruth C. Neisser, Howard Newman, Sophie Newman, Lillian Pergosin, Eileen Golden Raffkind, Sidney Reven, Anna Rebeck, Julia Harris Rosenblatt, Arthur Rosenthal, Charles Rubenstein, Ada Ruth Sachs, David Sackel, Nancy Sheridan, Faye Glasman Stoll, Saul Teitelbaum, Harry Trotner, Kenneth Weintraub, Meyer Wise, Harry Zake, and Suzanne Zimmerman. If there are names I mispronounced or names you'd like to share, please share them. We rise as we turn to page 294 and share in the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, Bagala uv'izman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam almei almaya, Yit barak v'yish tabach v'yit pa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, da'am iran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world, as we say, Amen. Having connected with those that we've loved and lost, we connect with each other as we offer the blessing of the priests. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace.
Amen.
Please remain standing as we'll turn to page 4 and 5 as we'll bless Shabbat with Kiddush and Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodeshu b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'ma'asi v'reishi. Ki hu yam techila la mikrae kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikahani v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadosh HaShabbat. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Before we get to our closing program, some important announcements. I mentioned earlier the variety of these, so pay attention. This coming Sunday at 10 a.m. is We Sing in the Temple Library. So for kids 0 to 3, that's for what's coming next. Don't worry. Keep your attention on me. This is a test. So kids 0 to 3 are welcome in the library for We Sing. The next day, Monday night, Dewey's Pizza Night. Eat all the pizza you can and tell them that you're coming on behalf of Temple, and the proceeds go to up to 20% goes to our religious school. It's a wonderful night to run into lots of Temple people at Dewey's. Next Friday night, this is a real test. Next Friday night, services are at 7. Good job. You read your emails. Services are at 7 next week. We have a wonderful speaker coming in with the AJC, the American Jewish Committee, to talk about anti-Semitism in America today. Bel Yoeli is the name of the speaker, and Brian Rolnick-Fox will be moderating. We wanted everybody to eat first, so please join us at 7 for a brief service, and then at 7:30, the speaker and the program will begin. Religious school open house. If there are students who have never been to religious school before, families who are members or not members, who want to check out religious school, if you have grandchildren who you've been prodding to tell them that they should get their kids in religious school, it'll work better if you have them show up May 1st and see how much fun we have on a Sunday morning, and we'll give them some special food and bribe them in other ways, but they got to show up May 1st. Last two really important ones, same day, the Hunger Walk. The Hunger Walk is May 1st, and we have flyers. Art, I think, had the flyers. Art's in the back. Everybody can find Art in the back. So there's been a lot of work this year to increase our participation in the Hunger Walk. It's going to be a beautiful day, May 1st in the afternoon. And so join us as we're going to walk and help raise money and support for the Akron Canton Food Bank. And you can get information from Art as to how you can participate. And I believe there's a matching gift for donations. So please participate in that. And finally, as I mentioned before, Temple Israel's own Ashley Barrett will be ordained as a rabbi on May 21st in Cincinnati. And there's a group of us that are planning to go and join for her ordination. And the following weekend on June 4th, her family is inviting the entire congregation for an open house. For those who aren't going to make it to Cincinnati, you get to celebrate her at her own house here the following weekend. The family's graciously invited us June 4th at 3 p.m. Details will be in the window that's coming out. So I know that was a lot, but it's all important things. And we are going to turn to our program now for the evening and introduce you to this new space that we've been working on for the last few months. Many of you have been on this. If you've been on the committee helping to plan part of this space and the event to go along with it, will you stand up real quick if you're here and you're on the committee? So thank you. This is one quarter of the committee. It's been a wonderful big committee that's been doing great work and looking at how we can create a new sanctuary outside in a post-pandemic world. And so first we will turn our eyes to this video that we'll be releasing after services tonight for everybody in the community to see. And then we'll invite Keith and Sue up, and we'll follow that with music from Cantor and Tim as we'll close out the evening that way. So Please turn your attention to the screen. Am I supposed to press a button here? Yes. There we go. Okay. Look at me. How much of me can you take? When the Israelites left Egypt, the Torah describes them as a mixed multitude. This diverse group of families, women and children, grandparents, even non-Israelites, faced a difficult question. How do we create a sense of community in the wilderness among people who have different perspectives on life? The answer was a tent that held the Torah and embodied the sacred presence of God. It was called the Mishkan, and it became a sacred place where people of every age and background would gather. For the last 2 years, the once modest patio adjacent to our building became the place where we gathered. It became the intersection of young and old as we celebrated Shabbat together. When our children were too young to be inside during the pandemic, it became their sacred space as they gathered safely for our High Holy Days. And now, thanks to the vision and generosity of Sue and Greg McMains, what was once just a modest patio will become our Mishkan, our sacred place under the stars for every generation of our congregation to gather and celebrate the people they love with the community that loves them.
My parents, Donald and Estelle Kaufman, were members of Temple Israel for over 60 years.
We were blessed to have 4 generations here in Akron. With their passing last year, we wanted to honor them by building upon their legacy. Keith Meerman approached us about the Mishkan being built on the patio named for my parents when Temple Israel moved to Springside Drive. This was the perfect opportunity.
With the help of a wonderful committee, we envision the Mishkan being utilized for many generations to come.
The Mishkan will be our most versatile, sacred space. It will be home to a chuppah when your child walks down the aisle, and it will become the place our youth gather to have s'mores at a summer Shabbat Oneg. Our families will gather for the most formal of the holidays, at Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and they will come back just a few days later when it becomes our sukkah, our casual gathering space to eat and share in stories. Together in the Temple Israel Mishkan, we will gather like our ancestors, young and old together, celebrating life, celebrating each other, and celebrating our Temple Israel community.
Sue and I hope you share our committee's vision for the new outdoor sanctuary.
Please keep an eye out for the many opportunities to support the Mishkan, including attending a Night with the Stars on June 25th.
It's an honor to invite Sue and Keith to personally invite you all to our event and to support this great project.
I want to first go off script just a little bit to thank, first of all, our entire committee that have done an incredible job. Our cantor, Kathy, and Tim, thank you for being here tonight. I'm so excited to hear this. I felt like tonight was a concert. It really wasn't services. To Rabbi, for all of your guidance. Kylie, for your amazing work. You've done an amazing job. And of course, my co-chair here, so. We're so excited to tell you about a very special event that is happening on Saturday, June 25th. Hopefully you've seen the poster out in the lobby about our fundraiser for the Mishkan. The expansion of our new outdoor sanctuary. The beautiful invitation should be arriving in your mailbox very soon. You will enjoy plentiful hors d'oeuvres, a delicious dinner that's catered by Vaqueros, and then treated to a special musical tribute to Stephen Sondheim, performed by Cantor Kathy and some special guests. And now, here's a sneak peek of the concert. Go ahead, Will.
I just want to thank the congregation for allowing Sue and I to manage this project, because it's a great honor. and especially for 41 additional congregants to get involved. And about 10 or 12 of them have never been involved at Temple, and I thank you all so much.
We will be singing 2 songs tonight. First is from Company, and the next is from Follies, and both songs deal with relationships. It's the little things you do together, that make perfect relationships. The hobbies you pursue together, savings you accrue together, looks you misconstrue together, that make marriage a joy.
It's the little things you share together, swear together, wear together, that make perfect relationships. The concerts you enjoy together, neighbors you annoy together, children you destroy together, that keep marriage intact. It's not so hard to be married when 2 maneuver as one. It's not so hard to be married, and Jesus Christ is it fun.
It's the sharing little winks together,
Drinks together,
kinks together,
that make marriage a joy.
It's the bargains that you shop together,
Cigarettes you stop together,
clothing that you swap together,
that make perfect relationships.
Uh-huh.
It's not talk of God and the decade ahead that allows you to get through the worst. It's the I do and you don't, and nobody said that, and who brought the subject up first. It's the little things, the little things, the little things, the little things.
It's the little ways you try together, cry together, lie together, that make perfect relationships. Coming a cliche together, growing old and gray together, withering away together, that make marriage a joy.
It's not so hard to be married. It's much the simplest of crimes. It's not so hard to be married. I've done it 3 or 4 times. It's the people that you hate together,
Bake together,
date together, that make marriage a joy.
it's the things like using force together,
Shouting till you're hoarse together, getting a divorce together, that make perfect relationships.
Kiss, kiss.
Too many mornings, waking and pretending I reach for you. Thousands of mornings, dreaming of my girl. All that time wasted, merely passing through. Time I could have spent so content, wasting time with you. Too many mornings, wishing that the room might be filled with you. Morning to morning, turning into days. All the days that I thought would never end. All the nights with another day to spend. All those times the door, Sally moving to the bed, Sally resting in my arms, with her head against my head.
What I'd wear tonight and when should I get here? How should I find you? Where I'd stand, what I'd say in case you didn't remember. How I'd remind you, you remembered, and my fears were wrong. Was it ever real? Did I ever love you this much? Did we ever feel so happy then?
It was always real.
I should have worn green,
and I've always loved you.
I wore
this
green the last time.
much. We can always feel
The time I was happy. Too many mornings wasted in pretending I reached for you. How many mornings are there still to come? How much time can we hope that there will be? Not much time, but it's time enough for me. If there's time to look up and see Sally standing at the door, Sally moving to the bed, Sally resting in your arms, with your head against my head. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Thank you, Eli.
Hopefully there's bread in the other room and we can all enjoy it. So please join us in the social hall for an oneg. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.